broadcasting live from the Roanoke Valley of southwestern Virginia. Join us and see what life looks like from a medium's perspective with Reverend Tracy Lockwood, the medium's medium. We'll explore the tools of psychic development, hear stories and experiences from the other side, and learn to listen to our natural intuition. Now, our host, Reverend Tracy Lockwood.
Hello, beautiful lights, and welcome to another episode of From a Medium's Perspective. Before we jump into today's show, I just want to remind you that besides my offering private readings by phone or for international clients by Skype or Zoom, I do offer one-on-one private tutoring as well. And I do that also through Skype or Zoom. And I also offer a 12-week certification program. It's taught twice a year in February and August, and it is an immersion style training and very intensive, very appropriate for all levels of study. Don't be intimidated because it's called the Professional Psychic Mediumship Certification Program. There are 3 levels of certification that you can earn during that program. And again, it's taught via the web, so you can study live with me from the comfort of your own home there. And if you're interested in any of that, you can find more information on my website at mediumtracylockwood.com. Well, today I am so tickled to have another psychic medium with me today. Her name, I will give you in a moment. Let me tell you a little bit about her. She is an empathic reader, a medical intuitive, an animal communicator, a spirit life guide. She teaches and lectures, and she does soul clearings. And she's a non-denominational minister. I found that interesting because, as you know, I'm a minister as well. She also travels the country teaching and lecturing and going to different holistic, spiritual, and psychic and healing events and expos so that people can meet her. And she's written a couple of spiritual books recently, and I believe they're in the process of being published. And today she's going to be talking to us about the truth about manifesting. And so I'd like to welcome to our show Lin Renee Mcdonald. Hi, Lynn.
Hi, Tracy. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super grateful.
Oh, you are more than welcome. Ditto right back at ya. Dit to the O. For those of you that would like to check out our guest, as you often do during the show, you can find her on her website. It's Lin Renee McDonald.com. And Lynn is spelled Lynn, Renee, Rene, McDonald, MacDonald.com. So just put in Lin Renee Mcdonald and you can spy on her while we're talking today.
Fantastic. Thanks. Thanks so much.
You are so welcome. The first thing I wanted to ask you was about the books that you're in the process of writing. I know some of that may be proprietary, and I'm not asking you to violate any of that, but tell us a little bit about the topics that you're writing on and how close you think they might be to getting actually out there so that we can buy them.
Right. I would probably say within the next year. I'm hoping for before then. But with myself, and I'm probably sure that a lot of people are like this, we tend to be overcritical of ourselves. So I'm hoping that I don't edit it too much. But it's the 2 books there are. One is about discovering who you truly are and being in that space of love energy within yourself and working with God or spirit or love energy to change your life. And it's very simple, gives you the direct tools for, like, this is basically kind of like spirituality for dummies, you know?
Yes,
it's where you go right to source. Yeah, as crazy as that sounds, but like, or for new beginners, you know what I mean?
Well, you don't mean dummies as in stupid. You mean it like the title of those other books that are just very practical and sort of nuts and bolts and clear.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's how I mean it. Because if dummies was the case, I would probably be real dummies. I would probably be the stupidest one to ever get on this path.
Oh, no.
From the beginning, you know. Oh, man. But, so the one book is about that. It's more for adults and everybody. And the other one is a spiritual children's book that just teaches people to work with their children, to work with God or love energy in an animated, really fun way. I did all the illustrations for it and basically channeled all the information. And it's about love and our relationship and bringing each one of us back to spirit or God or love energy.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's a wonderful concept. And it, you know, it sounds like you've got it covered on the spectrum of understanding from childhood through adulthood. That's beautiful. I'm excited. Please let me know when that happens. And
I definitely will. I'm kind of waiting on spirit to just guide me exactly when that's going to be.
I totally get that. I've got 2 books ready. Not ready. I haven't even. I've got all the pieces that I need to just put together, and I feel you on that. Well, one of the things that we were going to talk about today, or the main thing, was the truth about manifesting, and I'm curious. I'm curious about what you mean when you say that, you know, you're teaching people to truly manifest, like clarify, like maybe talk to us about the process of manifesting and why you differentiate the truth about manifesting. Okay.
The reason I do that is many new beginners, we all kind of think that everything is like, you know, the book, The Secret. I think it's by Rhonda Burns.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody thinks it's kind of like that, where you put out there what you want and you think about it and you dream about it and you constantly ask or want that. And so you project that into your reality. People do boards where they write what they want on there. That's like the traditional way to manifest. We ask for what we want, and then we expect it to happen. But it has been my experience, and this is what I've learned from Spirit, is that it doesn't go that way.
No,
and, you know, and not that book is not that book is bad.
It's
but,
like,
you know,
step
it's
1 and 2, but it's not the rest of the story.
Exactly. That's the perfect word. It's not the whole story. The whole story is that's really an 1/8 of the whole process of manifesting. But for the purposes of this interview, we're going to keep it really simple as to the most important 2 things that you have to have in order to really manifest what you dream about, what you want, what your soul's mission is, you know, all the great things in your life. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So when you talk about the truth about manifesting, you're specifically thinking that there's more to it than meets the eye, or more to it than is sometimes discussed. Yes?
Yes, absolutely. There's way more to it. Because I remember when I was a child, or in all growing up, all my life, I remember thinking, oh, why can't I have a great house? Why can't I have my dream husband, my dream job? Why isn't this happening? Because I would ask and ask and ask and ask. And, you know, how many times can you ask before you become really frustrated?
Right.
You know?
Even if you expect it, even if you believe, even if you make space in your house. Yes, it's not the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah. No, not at all. Go ahead.
So how would you define the process of manifestation then?
Okay. What I have discovered in my own experiences is that I haven't gotten what I had asked Spirit or God for. And the process goes on. And what I discovered is that if you don't love you in the healthiest, best way and allow yourself to have great things, then you can't make that happen in your reality, whatever it is. So the truth is, everything that you are in your soul is what assists you or does not assist you in your reality that you're in right now to manifest.
Yes. Yes. I
Go ahead.
think, do you think, like, I read this study one time or an article about a study. I probably didn't read the study itself. And it was talking about happiness. And it was saying that they had done a study with paraplegics, people that had recently lost the use of all of their limbs, and people that had just won the lottery. And they tested them 5 years after that fact to assess their level of happiness. And the interesting thing was they were equally happy. Right. Because the people that had won the lottery, which we would all say, oh, I would choose that way to be at that level of happiness,
Right.
didn't really resonate with the idea of wealth. And so, and they really weren't prepared for all the things that come along with it. And so, and then, there are things that money does solve, immediate debt, that kind of thing, some of the stress there, but there are also trade-offs to that. So 5 years after, they were at a certain level of happiness. However, the people that had lost the use of their limbs had also gone through a grief process, a tolerance, building a certain acceptance, maybe not liking it, not that kind of acceptance, but just facing the limitation and deciding to work the best that they could within that constraint. And they had achieved a certain level of mastery of that brought them up from the point that they were at, whereas the other parties were coming down, I'm pretty sure, to come to the same point. And I just found that really interesting. What does that trigger for you?
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you. To me, what that really means and what I pick up from all of that is that obviously it does not take money to make you happy. Your happiness truly comes from within yourself. Because, and here's another example of that. We all have been there, where we get something new, something nice, and 5 minutes later it's old. Who cares about that? I got a new truck. You like it for a couple of months, and then really, who cares? Because that's not what makes you happy. It may make you happy, like winning the lottery, for a little while, but the very you that you are is what makes you happy, not things. And that's part of the whole process of what, let's say, the paraplegics would go through, or the people who are not well or have to go through sickness or some kind of loss or unwell situation that is really daunting for any of us in this reality. Those are the people that would have to go through this, where they discover that the power and the happiness is really truly in themselves. And once you do that, then you can manifest everything out here. Do you see?
Yeah. And, we hear a lot, like, take care of you first, love yourself before you can expect love. And it kind of sets up this concept that we have to, like, perfect ourselves in order to deserve love or to work hard. But obviously, if you look around at people that are in relationships or do have material success or whatever your objective is, education or whatever, they're clearly not perfect. None of us are perfect,
No.
but, well, we are perfect. Yes, we are as a divine being, there's the two-sided argument there. But so what do you advise people in the process of learning to love themselves first? Like, what does that translate to when you're helping people along that process?
Well, of course, you can probably figure that whenever you become enlightened or you go down a spiritual path, that you go through some really great difficult times. and things like that. And what I have discovered during this time is all my life I've worked with a lot of different spiritual teachers, shamans, and different people. And then one day Spirit just said, hey, you work with us now. And what has evolved is that I talk to Spirit 24/7. By doing so, it has helped me do everything that I need to do to clear out the things that stop me from being able to manifest, that stop me from being able to love myself.
Well, let me slow you down there. When you say talk to Spirit 24/7, me from the medium's perspective is like, oh, hell no. You know what I mean? So, and I know you mean something entirely different than, talking to spirits, as in those that have crossed or working.
Right.
What do you mean when you say that?
When I say,
what is that 24/7 practice?
That's what that is talking to God, or love energy. So it's not actually spirits like people have crossed over who are, anything like that. It's talking to the purest form of love energy. Let's say your angels, your higher self, God, your guides, love energy in its purest form. If you listen, the answers will come. All of your ideas, all of those things that are connected to your soul, you're always connected to God or source energy. All your ideas come from that purest form of love energy and all that you are. So it's working within that space. So whenever I need to know something, I bring it right to source. If I have a problem with somebody, I'm like, okay, God, okay, Spirit, I have a problem with this. Help me. Can you guide me? Let me know what to do about this. How do I change me? What do I need to work on? What do I need to do to create the best things and the best life for me and all? Do you see what I mean?
Right. So you're doing the first step of putting it out there and questioning, like, how do I get here from point A to point B? And you clearly have a picture, like you were talking in The Secret about putting it out there and then visualizing, sort of ask and expect. But you're taking it a little further and turning it into a dialogue and into an energy exchange and into receiving information where you're listening and I'm assuming feeling directions. Yep. Oh, that's beautiful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And and the whole thing is, if you ask, you will receive. So if you need to hear the answers and you want to know, just ask Spirit or ask God or ask love energy, for those answers, and they will come for you. You gotta be patient, though.
Yes, and also I just want to interject. It's not like a menu where you just order something like, all right, I'll have the vegan low-fat special because that's how I'm eating right now. And
I'll have the cheeseburger.
Yes, because you still need to get to the restaurant. You still need to have the funds to order that dish. You still need to have the time in your schedule to go. So the receiving, it's I guess I'm saying it's not like a one-to-one correspondence where you snap your fingers and say, I want this, bring it to me.
Not at all. Right.
And you'd have to achieve some type of neutrality, some type of detachment to what it is that you're asking.
That's right.
Kind of like ask and let go kind of thing.
Yeah,
or put it out there and let go. Yes?
Yeah, absolutely. Because the more you want, the more that creates more wanting. So you ask, you let it go, you feel in your heart, you let that go, and you know that Spirit will bring it back to you if that is what is best for you, and you trust and you believe. Because I remember I had one of my teachers work with me in the past, and she said, Lynn, you cannot tell God what to do. And we both started laughing because it's funny.
Yes, yeah.
So, we can't tell God what to do, but we can ask and we can receive and work from that place of love where we love ourselves and we trust and we let go, and then it comes in. You see?
Yes. And, that pops into my mind, the fact that you would have to also be grateful for what is already within your life.
Yes.
And what do they call it? An attitude of gratitude, and also like to maybe be willing to adapt your perspective of what you have now, because sometimes we're reaching for something maybe because it we think we'll feel better if we had this, that, or the other. But the universe, God, I love that loving energy, love energy. That's a beautiful way to say that. Is always really focused on our highest good. And we're very individual. And so how we would respond if we had what we ask for, or what we ask for, we may be asking in ignorance. Or I'm thinking, like, let's say, like in my case, I'm working on dropping some weight and eating healthier and building up my vital physical energy. And but it's difficult for me not to look backwards in time to the year 2007, when I was receiving my blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and wishing that I could be back on the mat, back at that weight, etc. But when we go back into the past to reach for things, there's all this vibration that gets attached to it that we don't think of. We just think of the one thing. We forget all the other things we were going through at that time. You know, in my case, my brain injury was worse. A lot of things going on.
Wow.
You know, and I don't want any of those things back. So one of our other guests that came on the show, Andrea Hood, talked also about manifesting from a totally different angle than we are. But she's the one that pointed out that when you reach backwards in time, you're focused on one item, but there's a resonance that's attached to everything there.
Absolutely.
How do you help people to move forward into that state of being, that state of mind? Because it's not easy. Like, you know, I'm thinking of a dear friend of mine, and I'm going to say probably conservatively, she's been single for about 20 years and she doesn't like it. She's miserable in her state. What would you tell her about shifting that condition of being alone?
Yeah. Well, the first thing I would tell her is that she should sit down and get a little notebook and write down all the reasons why she doesn't like to be alone. Do you see? Because the whole purpose that she is alone, the whole reason she is, so to speak, is because when she wants a partner so desperately, something in her soul doesn't want to be alone, has abandonment issues, things like that are going to come out if she sits down and writes down, why don't I like to be alone? What is wrong with me that I don't have a partner? All of these things. It's where we really take a good look at us and our personal, what I call crap or stuff, you know, and everybody has it. Whether they want to address it or not is a different story. But what they miss is if they don't address it and clear it out of their souls, then they can't get to the places that they want to manifest at in their dreams of today. You see?
No, you touched on something really important there. And that's that question of, like, how do I position myself to clear out and make space and be ready for what I'm asking for? And that brings up the topic of blockages. And I know you have something to say about that.
Yeah. Well, we all have tons of blocks. It depends on how old the souls are. The older the soul, the more blocks we usually have. Now, there's always exceptions to everything, of course. But the older the souls, like people like me and you, psychics, mediums, super spiritually gifted people, healers, or even high creative people who have come in, scientists, come in to change the world, whether they're aware of this or not. This is all what's going on. The older the soul, the more stuff they have, and they have to free themselves of that, or it doesn't go away.
Do you think that that's because there's a certain apathy about, like, deeply, like, because at some other lifetime you already had that, or between lives you've got an abundance of whatever you need, and or what do you think? What creates that block for an older soul, do you think?
Okay. Well, older souls basically have been around since the beginning of time. The beginning of time meaning all that God, love, energy is everything. God is love, energy is this all the same thing. It is all that is, and we are part of that. So the older the soul, the more very beginning of that energy that we came from. Okay. So what this means is we've had many, many, many past lives. The older the soul, the more past lives, and each lifetime that we have, we bring with us whatever it is we created and had happen to us, we carry all time and all that is within our souls. That's how we are in the same, I know this is going to get crazy if you put your head and start thinking about it, but
we're ready. We're ready.
I know it's heavy stuff sometimes. You just sit there and you go, wow, you know.
Yes.
Yeah. But so we're all part of that same love energy. And this is how, like, when you manifest, I manifested you, you manifest me. We create that before we even meet. And same is true when we're in this reality. You see, we created this reality together. The whole world does that together with the collective consciousness. So what happens is, getting back to the single person soul and being a very old soul, so we carry with us all time and all that is. So this means our great experiences, like our children, you know, that our gifts, maybe we're great writers, great artists, great spiritual teachers, fantastic channels, we're healers, you know, we're nuclear engineers, or whatever it is that we are and we love to do, that we came in here to do. Great moms, great family people, you know, maybe we're fantastic with pets, you know. It's infinite, our magic that we have, and it's all what I call God, love, energy, magic. And we have that in our soul, and that is the greatness of all that we are and creates all the wonderful things in our lives. The other part is the part that has a bad or what I call a bad. It's nothing is really bad, but it's an unwell experience. That part that we have in our lives is what we carry with us that manifests. Oh, I don't feel good about me. I don't love me. Because maybe one time you were in a relationship where your mother or your father or a relative physically abused you, or God forbid, of course, raped you, and then in your next lifetime, you carry that energy like that one woman was saying, from the past into your present, which is now, and it manifests in this reality in a different way by you not loving you not honoring you not, let's say, maybe because you were raped or attacked by a man, let's say in this lifetime, you may not be able to stand even being around men. You may be terribly fearful of them. Do you see what I'm saying? Or you may have manifested as being a lesbian or a bisexual, or, I mean, and not that that's bad. Nothing is bad, but this is how we cope and we learn and we grow and how things manifest. And it's infinite depending on everything within us and our true soul's core of love energy. I know that's pretty complex.
Yeah. So just briefly, I categorize that stuff as past life PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. And yet
that's a good one. Yeah.
But we forget our strengths in that process.
Yes.
Lynn, welcome back, Lynn. We were talking just before the break about sort of past life PTSD and how old souls suffer that because they have been in the earth so much, and yet on the counterbalance side, you mentioned that they also have tremendous gifts, great skills as well. And I just wanted to see where you wanted to take that from where we were talking. What did you like to add to that?
Okay, well, in order for us to truly be happy, any of us, in this lifetime, what we need to know about is universal law, which is all part of what I'm talking about. This whole manifesting and past lives and souls, everything is part of the whole package. In the beginning, in the book The Secret, we talked a little bit about that and how you manifest, and that's only really an eighth of the dreams of where you put it out there, and that's how you get what you want, because that's only one part of it.
Picture, absolutely.
No. And then this is another huge, but this is a huge chunk of it. If you can't get past your own stuff and the things that are blocking you, you can't have that happiness. You can't have your dream. Yeah, it's heartbreaking, you know?
Well, it will also, you know, getting yourself ready to receive is really a process. You know, we think, oh, I'm ready now. I could win the lottery today. That'd be just fine by me. And yes, that would be awesome. But being truly ready has to do with being truly authentic and truly, don't you think it's a resonance? Like when we hit our stride, that draws other vibrations to us?
Absolutely. Absolutely. But see, the secret here, which is really cool, is that when you clear your stuff out of your soul and in all that you are by removing all these blocks and the things that are stopping you from having your dreams come true, what happens is you raise your manifestation levels, okay? So you keep growing and raising your vibration. Okay, you raise your vibration and you raise your manifestation abilities as well. So when you raise your vibration, you're able to bring more good things to you. And in things that you don't even ask for, when you get in that real, what I call the God flow, you're in this river and you're floating down it. And then all of a sudden you have a radio show with Tracy Lockwood, or this is happening, or that's
or she has a radio show.
Yes. Yeah, well, she invites you to it. You know what I'm saying?
No, I just meant it was this unexpected, semi-anticipated, but unexpectedly divine in getting the show a couple of years ago. And it just is contagious. So thank you for saying that. But,
absolutely. Oh, well, yeah. And thank you too. Because I mean, this is how things really work. And the more you raise your vibration and you work on you, the more you love you, the more you allow the rest of the world to love you. And that's what brings you abundance and great things. Now, when I say love you.
Oh, wow. You just said, allow the world to love you. And that flashed something in my mind. When you said that, there was a connection. You know, how many times does somebody give you a compliment and you wave it away or brush it away or discredit it, you know, oh, well, I just got it at Kmart, or, you know, or, oh, thanks. That's really nice. You know, you're kind. But we kind of repel, you know, either with our hands or with our words or with our thoughts, the intent of love coming to us. We don't even notice that is the universe loving us. Yes?
Oh, absolutely. Yep. It's the universe loving us. Absolutely. People say nice things to us. And when we won't allow it, you know, I know people in my life, you know, they say to me, well, I'm suffering and that's just the way it is. No, it's not. You know, or I can't have nice things and that's the way it is. So they resign themselves too. Do you see?
I do. And I really like that you chose the word allow the universe to love us. And people are like, well, I'm not standing in its way. Bring me the money, bring me the relationships. But we are standing in the way of that because we're still looking at it from a point of need, like you talked about earlier. And we're still looking at it as something that we don't have, something that's far out in the impossible future or we have negative associations with it. We might think that wealthy people are snooty and yet we want money. Well, that's like a conflicting vibration, right? You know?
Oh, absolutely. Sure. One of the biggest things that Spirit showed me is they said to me, you go into this Range Rover Jaguar dealer place. And they said to me, you know, if you don't believe that you can buy and own an $85,000 truck or a $120,000 truck, then you can't be successful over here because you don't allow yourself to have this over here.
Yes. Believe it's possible. Believe it is possible. That's right. Yes, and if you don't, we tell ourselves, no, I would never find someone who would love me. I will never find a job that satisfies me. I will never, and we block it. How do you work with people, Lynn? You know, you do readings as well, and you also do a spiritual life counseling, I guess, would be one way. You called yourself a spirit life guide. I liked that term. How would you help someone Here's a classic one. I've waited. I'm going to go back to my friend, and I'm not naming her. Aren't you glad? No, just kidding. I've been single 20 years, and now I'm too old. I've missed it. How would you work with someone that puts up that type of a block to help them soften their stance?
Okay, what I do is I basically, every single thing is a habit, pattern, a belief, a consciousness that exists within our souls, everything. It's either a positive or an unwell. It either helps us or it does not. So when somebody believes that they're old, or that they can't have a partner who's 20 years younger than them, or that they can't have money, or they're not beautiful, or they suck at something, they literally, that's what all of that is. Habits, patterns, beliefs. And what happens is they sit in our souls. So my job as a counselor and as a spiritual healer, so to speak, is to pull those things out of your soul and in all that you are, and whoever it is I'm working with. So I get down to the bottom. We sit down, and intuitively, Spirit talks to me 24/7, or that's what I call it. It's kind of like my life. So they talk to me all the time. So it's kind of like when you go in a room, you know things about people. I know things about people that they don't know I know, but it's not because it's meant to be unwell. It's so I can help them if they choose to have the help from Spirit through me. Does that make sense?
Yes. I think when people do come for guidance in a session with someone that is there to help them, that person that receives them, first of all, isn't enmeshed in all the lies, all the resistances, all the blockages. They're just looking at the situation fresh and finding the path of least resistance. And I think that probably you help them identify those things, like, because you can pick up on them. And sometimes just acknowledging that something does exist is the first step in releasing it, right?
Oh, absolutely. That's why, many times people go to counselors to talk about things, and they talk about it over and over in different situations, different aspects of what is going on in their life. That's part of releasing as well. Okay. And that's all part of the process.
Yeah. Absolutely. But don't you think that what we do as psychic mediums is that we short circuit that process not short circuit it, but shorten the process?
Oh, no doubt.
Yes. I'm sure you, like me, have gotten compliments like, "Oh, it's better than a year and a half of psychotherapy." And I'm not dissing psychotherapy. Therapists are very important also, but we are not bound by waiting for them to come to their own conclusions. They're coming to us asking for information and for advice and for insight. What's the general response of your clientele when you do pinpoint something for them?
Well, many times it depends on where they vibrate, if they're ready to receive the information, because nobody wants to hear that, let's say, they're a jackass, or you know what I'm saying, or they're, or they're not well.
Well, you never tell them that directly. I know you have too much finesse.
No, but my father was always great at that, calling me a jackass. I'm just messing.
But you're bringing up a valid point, which is that we don't want our weaknesses seen. But in a private session with you, Lynn, or they're not going. Their privacy is not going to be violated.
Oh, absolutely not.
And so it's a safe environment to explore aspects of yourself that you're not always ready to do on a daily basis.
Right.
And it does take time to process it. But don't you think, too, that people get epiphanies about, oh, my God, I never saw it that way?
Yes. All the time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You've read for a mutual client of, well, actually 2 or 3 mutual clients of mine too. And their reaction was very positive. You know, they felt.
And that right there, that right there shows you there's plenty for everybody.
Oh, there's no competition. Good Lord.
No.
You know, I think like when I first started teaching and started inviting people to come on the show, there was a certain subliminal territoriality, but there was that day that hit me that even though I would love to read for every single person on the planet, that probably in this lifetime reading for 5+ billion people, wherever we are, 7 billion, I don't even know how many people, there's no way to read for them all. You know?
Yeah.
And also, you know, what I was just mentioning, sometimes hearing it a second time or a third time is the charm. Sometimes it's the way that person presents the concept from a fresh angle that, you know, maybe they became accustomed to hearing or thinking a particular way, and but when they hear it from a different vessel, it's the same message from spirit, from God, from the universe, from love energy, but it's individualized through the speaker, and that makes a difference in the way. I'm thinking of a person that is a great reader in our area, and she had spoken to somebody, and I've been very long-winded because I'm a Sagittarius, I guess, in the way that I had been working with her on this particular thing, and she went for a mini reading for this person, and she said, well, it might help you if you combed your hair and put your eyes up so that you could see if people are looking at you. And I thought, oh my God, that's brilliant. Do you know what I mean? Like it never really
thought of that
to me.
Yeah.
to
Sometimes.
do that. And you know, and it was kindly delivered. That sounds much harsher than it actually was. But no, the perspectives are important. And, you know, do you have kind of a key or a thought about helping people to cope with some of the things that they develop? Like, you know, we tell ourselves all kinds of things. I'm too old. I'm too tired. I don't have enough money. It'll never happen. You know, I live in the wrong place. You know, like we tell ourselves 1,000 reasons why not. How do you help them shift?
Well, what I do is I work with love energy or God, and I use that energy, and I speak, and you will hear me when I do this work, clear it from their souls and in all that they are. When I do this work, it goes away. I teach them as well how to do this, and then they can go on their merry way and do the same tools that I do.
Very important to transfer the knowledge, because it's sort of like if you go over to a friend's house and help them clean, but they're a hoarder, you can come back a week later, it's going to look just like it did before you came there.
Right. And until you remove that consciousness, that habit, that pattern and belief that makes them do that behavior and be in that space, whatever it is, whether it's thinking or in their physical reality, but it's manifesting and it keeps happening over and over and over. And
give us an example, just a concrete example of someone that you gave tools to help clear things in their life. And we're just about 4 minutes out here.
Okay. All right. Well, there's actually a couple. One of the neat people that I really get to work with are a lot of times people come to me when they have exhausted all avenues. Let's say they've just gone down a path of drugs, or they are suffering from mental illness, or they're just unique in this reality, or they're not accepted, or, you know, it comes in infinite. People's unwellnesses and wellnesses and things that happen, there's so much of that. And two people that I can think of that I worked with and have worked with and still work with are recovering basically what I call recovering heroin addicts, and they're fantastic and they're super well. Well, they took what I taught them, and they're now like rebuilding their lives fabulously in a place where they could never get before without the tools that Spirit has taught me, and without them ready to be ready for it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. What do you think was one of those critical tools for them, like practically speaking?
The ability to clear the stuff out of their souls, because until we really get that we have the power to create and be free to create unwellnesses and be free of them, all right? So we have that power to be free of those total unwellnesses, and as well as create our reality. As soon as they really grasp that and get it, then they fly. They realize, oh my God, I can ask for a house with carpeting. I can ask to have a great relationship with my mother. I can clear out all the things that I can't stand about my mother and myself out of me. Or you see what I'm saying? And then they change not only the physical, material things in their lives, but the unwellnesses and the relationships with the people around them and their whole entire lives.
I really love that you use the term unwellness, because it puts it on a spectrum in a continuum. It's not so, there's not as much duality like good, bad, well, sick, or healthy. Unwellness just feels like maybe you slid down the scale a little bit, but you could move your way back up the scale toward wellness. I really love that you use that term. Wow.
Yeah, all my terms are directly from Spirit. I channel everything, really. So
I have my own language too. Yes, I love that. I love that, and it's beautiful. And it creates that perspective. It creates that unique, different perspective, and that's why someone reading the books that you're about to come out with might get something completely different or more than if they were to read, say, The Secret, or not that we're secret bashing or anything like that. It was a great book and landmark in its time, and some amazing voices contained within it too. If you were to just give one quick tip to somebody who would want to develop their ability, what's the most effective thing that just pops into your mind? Of course, there's never just one way.
The most effective thing is to listen to your intuition. When you get a thought, an idea, a feeling, it's telling you what would behoove you to do, what is best for you. And that this intuition stuff, okay, always comes and feels good. If it doesn't feel good, it isn't from God. Like people say to me, I get this bad thought and I get this. I'm like, that's not from Spirit. That's not from God.
That's an overlayment of, that's past pain. Yeah.
Yes. Yep. And so following and feeling in your heart and listening to the solutions that you get from Spirit, and go with that, even when you think that's not what you should be doing. Do you see what I mean?
Yes. Lynn, it has been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. We're at the end of our hour. Lin Renee McDonald.com. Tracy is mediumtracylockwood.com. You can find both of us on the web. Thank you, Lynn. We appreciate your being here.
God bless you, Tracy, and thank you
so much. And just remember, listeners, it's never inappropriate